end, so because we had some people coming late, so we decided that we would do you a favor and just give you a very short sort of clip of something, and we'll give you 2 minutes of our time for this clip, but you need to give us 2 minutes of your time for this clip if we can negotiate. But it's actually quite interesting.
Types of people, academic and non-academic, smart people and non-smart people. And the consequence of that is that many brilliant people think they're not, because they've been judged against this particular view of the mind. So we have twin pillars, economic and intellectual. And my view is that this model has caused chaos in many people's lives. It's been great for some. There have been people who have benefited wonderfully from it. But most people have not. Instead, they suffer this. This is the modern epidemic, and it's as misplaced and it's as fictitious. This is the plague of ADHD. Now, this is a map of the incidence of ADHD in America, or prescriptions for ADHD. Don't mistake me here. I don't mean to say there is no such thing as attention deficit disorder. I'm not qualified to say if there is such a thing. I know that a great majority of psychologists and pediatricians think there is such a thing. But it's still a matter of debate. What I do know for a fact is it's not an epidemic. These kids are being medicated as routinely as we had our tonsils taken out, and on the same whimsical basis and for the same reason, medical fashion. Our children are living in the most intensely stimulating period in the history of the earth. They're being besieged with information and calls for their attention from every platform, computers, from iPhones, from advertising audience, from hundreds of television channels. And we're penalizing them now for getting distracted. From what? No, boring stuff at school, for the most part. It seems to me not a coincidence totally that the incidence of ADHD has risen in parallel with the growth of standardized testing. These kids are being given Ritalin and Adderall and all manner of things, often quite dangerous drugs, to get them focused and calm them down. But according to this, attention deficit disorder increases as you travel east across the country. People start losing interest in Oklahoma. They can hardly think straight in Arkansas. And by the time they get to Washington, they've lost it completely. And there are separate reasons for that, I believe. It's a fictitious epidemic. If you think of it, the arts, and I don't say this exclusively of the arts, I think it's also true of science and of maths, but I say about the art particularly because they are the victims of this mentality currently, particularly. The arts especially address the idea of aesthetic experience. An aesthetic experience is one in which your senses are operating at their peak, when you're present in the current moment, when you're resonating with the excitement of this thing that you're experiencing, when you are fully alive. An anesthetic is when you shut your senses off and deaden yourself to what's happening. And a lot of these drugs are that. We're getting our children through education by anesthetizing them. And I think we should be doing the exact opposite. We shouldn't be putting them asleep. We should be waking them up to what they have inside of themselves. But the model we have is this.
Good evening. We started with that clip mainly because we're a special school which needs to fight against everything that you have seen there. And we're at Itembelihle, and my partner here, Lisa van Dongen, is a freelance partner, and is going to tell, she is working whatever that I don't know. Our school is a school with classrooms. It has got a hostel, therapy, and a clinic. From the background of our clip, you could tell that all these areas need to be maintained so that we make sure that we wake our children up. They are just kids. All they need is love. And they deserve a chance. That is our main aim, is to make sure that we give a chance to all these children that are disabled. Working from our vision, we had to look into ways that we can understand education. And Lisa is going to just quickly say what we did.
Okay, so as Lena was saying, it's a special needs school, and the place we started, our very first conversation with the staff was to start with that clip and talk about doing education in a way that wakes the children up. And I think being a special needs school, using a mainstream curriculum, there's an enormous opportunity to do things slightly differently, and in so doing, find ways to wake these children up to the potential inside of themselves. So we started the year with a whole school approach to developing a strategy. We got the SGB, the whole SMT, the whole staff, and a couple of representatives of feeder institutions that the school sends their children to after the primary school. And we developed we looked at the strategy and the vision and the strategy for the school.
Vision of the school, we didn't change anything from it. All what we did was to dissect it, to see whether it is still in line with what we wanted to achieve. So it was to facilitate holistic development, which supports learners becoming independent and contributing members of the society. And the mission was to provide a primary school education and a safe, healthy, happy living environment for special needs. We had to come up with a strategy then in our main meeting to look into when they are contributing members of the societies, we are going to be putting that as our roof and have all these other pillars that Lisa is going to explain.
Oh, okay. So what we did was we framed through this engagement process. We framed a vision and a sort of a desire that was already in place in the school, but we just needed to give it, basically the infrastructure of the dream. And so we said, if we want to be pointing toward contributing members of society, what foundations do we need to have in place? And at the bottom, we've got financial sustainability, management and accountability mechanisms, and staff development. Those are absolutely non-negotiable. And then we've got a couple of pillars.
The financial sustainability, we have one of our partners that is here, Jason. Can they? David and Jason, they're twins. Okay, one of them is here, who has helped us with our financial sustainability, because we found that if we are not financially stable, we're not going to achieve all those things. So David has helped us to structure in our finances to have robots so that we can see now it is red, it is green. Are we spending more? Are we spending less? What is it that we're doing? So David is helping us with that. And on management and accountability mechanism, we have come up with a strategy on how we're going to make every member of the SMT accountable. We came up with the strategy and identified what is it that we are managing, what is it that we need to be accounting, why, when, so that we can set our deadlines in place. And with staff development, we also have laid a foundation, and we've started with that by developing all staff members.
We were really lucky in the school because people are very passionate about their jobs, and absenteeism isn't a problem. Getting commitment from the staff is not a problem. These people come to work because they absolutely love it. But they're working in an environment where government hasn't got a tailored approach to special needs schools, and so they're also trying to get their kiddies through the UNA results, even if the kiddie really actually doesn't have the mental capacity to do so. These children, many of the children actually have physical and mental issues, and so they're being forced into a system that doesn't cater to them. And so I think one of the really exciting things coming out was a real commitment and a decision that we're going to start trying to do things differently. And yes, government's not really helping us, and they're not setting out the path. Necessarily, that we're taking the first step, and we can then support them from the front, perhaps. So the plan has been, and it's been implemented this year, to stream the children into 3 different classes: a care class where the kiddies really have they just need very, very, very basic sort of skills to how to wash hands and that sort of thing. To a skills development class, kiddies who are probably not going to cope with an academic curriculum, but that might be able to learn skills to use with their hands. Again, remember, we're trying to help those children become contributing members of society. and then an academic stream, but an academic stream that it might be adapted in some way. So perhaps the way in which we teach them will be different, and perhaps how quickly we try and teach them will be different. So we're talking about having classes where there's more than one, grade in the same class, or you're going at different paces with different children in the same class. And there's a number of engagements and transferability issues that need to come out of that. So that's the decision that was made at the end of last year that this school was going to go forward on. But the challenge is often moving from a decision such as that to implementation. And Leonor started speaking a little bit about this. So on the basis of that strategy, we then developed a one-year improvement plan with an idea of where we're going, so phasing. And here we spent quite a lot of time with the SMT looking at what are the big ticket items that'll take us there, and what do we need to achieve now so that we can pilot this new approach and be ready for a real full rollout by the end of next year. We've also been developing monitoring templates, and I've got a beautiful clip, but I can't play it because we're going to run out of time, about how people respect what you inspect, and how the SMT actually need to sort of be very clear about what they are inspecting so that people can respond.
One of the important things that we have achieved in this partnership is that now I'm a CEO. Clap hands for me. Before starting the program, I wanted to resign. I had already thought I'm leaving education because I was already diagnosed with lupus, so I thought my time is up. But now I am ready to go 10 more years. Through the support of this partnership, I'm able now to do the following: role extension, role enrichment, role expansion, role exchange, and role releasing. So all those balls, now I'm able to just throw them. I delegate. That is why my SMT is here. They know that I am developing them to take those balls when I'm throwing them, and they are catching them and running with them. All I do is just to balance priorities, and all I now busy doing is the dashboard, because I'm a CEO, just to check, did you do this? Did you do that? When is this going to be in? And all that I'm doing. Now I'm ready to make all my SMT to be the mini CEOs, because they will also be releasing to all the staff. We have looked at the new PALM document where there are job descriptions for senior teachers and master teachers, and we are busy role releasing now. And everybody is going to gain from that.
Just to say that when asked what I learned the most, and we had a conversation about this recently, for me it came down to, but all of us are learning very, very important things that are fundamental to one's identity or one's conception of oneself. So for me, walking into an environment like this with the preconception of what public schooling in this country looks like, what I've learned has been looking into people's eyes who come to work because they have absolute passion and total unconditional love for kiddies that the rest of society says are unlovable, and who do their job with joy. And that's I've learned so much about that by watching it and being in that environment. And then I've also watched as really important identity shifts have happened in Leonor and in SMT, and I think it's going to roll into the staff as well, around who am I? Because am I a teacher who came to work because I want to help the 30 or 50 or whatever 20 people in our class? Or would it be better for me to move into a management function? And a management function isn't necessarily the most attractive move to make, but perhaps it's the best contribution I can make to the needs of the kiddies that I'm serving. And that means I need to, sort of shift who I think I am. And so I think that those are the sorts of conversations that we've been having in our partnership. I think I'm not going to take you through the rest of the slides, but just to say, I think for us, while we're building systems, we're also very mindful and cognizant that we need a little less straitjacketing of the future, and allowance for the unexpected as well. So, so it's trying to find that balance. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to everybody here, but especially thank you to my partner who has made my year such an absolute pleasure.